The critical drinker launched a preemptive culture war against Christopher Nolan. He claimed this classical masterpiece is a massive preemptive disaster. But this outrage is just a highly commercialized grievance campaign. Why? Because the modern outrage economy doesn't reward honest criticism, it rewards algorithmic panic baiting. He's weaponizing cultural panic to feed a highly lucrative outrage grift. This isn't even a debate. It isn't a debate about artistic quality even. It's a systemic case study in how a creator converts zero research, historical revisionism, and fake data into cold, hard cash. In this video, we're going to audit his entire business model step by step and dismantle the exact mechanics of this outrage machine. From the fake translation controversies to the bizarre attacks on the cast, and we're tracing the exact blueprints of a modern media scam. The critical drinker packages cheap ideological grievance as an objective defense of cinema. The critical drinker faked 213,000 dislikes to prove the Odyssey's backlash. I mean, look at this. He's citing this massive number with a straight face, but it's completely possible. Why? Because YouTube shut off public dislikes back in 2021. So his entire proof of some mainstream backlash is really just a wild guess pulled from a buggy browser section. He's weaponizing unverified data to feed a highly lucrative outrage grift, and selling a mathematical fantasy to validate a prepackaged narrative. The critical drinker compared Nolan's Odyssey to Supergirl to doom it. I mean, look at this video. He's trying to link these completely unrelated movies to make everything look like a political disaster. I mean, Will, buddy, can you imagine actually believing a standard superhero release has anything to do with a $250 million mythic epic recorded entirely on 70mm IMAX cameras? Like, what are you doing here? It's a standard marketing ploy disguised as cinematic forecasting. He manufactured a fake industry collapse to keep his subscription revenue flowing. The critical drinker's Zero Greeks casting complaint is a performative grievance. He targeted Christopher Nolan's cast for the Odyssey and stood there with a straight face, acting like classical mythology is some sort of closed genealogical ledger. I mean, show some respect, Will. It's a global legacy. Look at the actual production. Nolan shot the film entirely on location in Greece, using local Greek crews and background actors, pouring millions into their economy. Our so-called critic wanted this shallow casting debate while totally ignoring actual physical local collaboration. He reduced a global mythic masterpiece into a shallow census-taking debate, and failing so hard at it. The critical drinker labeled Emily Wilson's Odyssey translation as a feminist agenda. He dismissed her acclaimed academic work as a postmodern feminist distortion. Seriously, look at this. It's a classic panic baiting maneuver packaged as cultural preservation. Wilson's translations is globally celebrated by classical scholars for stripping away Victorian biases and returning strictly to the literal Greek. Our critic didn't actually read her scholarship. I mean, obviously. Will Jordan just packaged academic restoration as political vandalism to feed his audience outrage. He just dismissed academic rigor to sell a manufactured culture war narrative, and failing at it too. The critical drinker claimed Nolan's winging the Odyssey script. He claimed this soldier named Sinan isn't in Homer's text, crying about winging this as if he's some sort of classical scholar himself. Well, he's not. But that's just a lazy omission. It was actually just a lazy omission disguised as scholarly critiques. See, Sinan is actually a core figure in the ancient Greek epic cycle. He's literally the central character in Sophocles' Lost Tragedy, and he's driving the plot in Cimmerian's epic. Our so-called critic just totally skipped that research to push his lazy anti-woke agenda, manufacturing a narrative of lazy writing by skipping the literature. Who's lazy here, Will? The critical drinker claimed that Elliot Page is too small for the Odyssey, calling Page's frame playing Sinan a physical impossibility. But look at this. In the actual myth, Sinan isn't a warrior. He's this frail, terrified drafter plateless soldier who gets used as a sacrificial decoy. So, Elliot Page's slight frame is actually a deliberate, brilliant thematic choice to emphasize the cruel machinery of war. Our so called critic wanted a cartoon action hero, but he got an actual devastating drama in his turn. He mistook a deliberate anti war metaphor for a casting error, because he's just too illiterate to see it. The critical drinker called Lupita Nyong'o's Odyssey casting as a race swap. He's complaining about race swapping her as Helen of Troy, but his outrage is just a manufactured cultural panic disguised as historical preservation. In the actual movie, Nyong'o plays a dual role as twin sisters Helen and Clytemnestra, a deliberate, brilliant narrative device exploring mythological dualism. Furthermore, Bronze Age Mediterranean records show a deeply connected network of trade with North Africa. Our so-called critic ignored these rich storytelling choices because complaint baiting is much more profitable for his grift. He sacrificed narrative depth to score cheap political points. The critical drinker claimed Zendaya's Athena as an astroturf pushed. He reduced her acting range to a confused scowl, but his complaints represent a highly commercialized grievance masquerading as genuine criticism. I mean, Zendaya's got 2 Primetime Emmy Awards voted on by thousands of industry peers for her dramatic depth, and her massive fan base completely organic. So even a simple confused scowl carried even more depth than our so-called critic could even see. On top of that, in the film, she plays an ethereal philosophical apparition of Athena instead of a physical warrior. But not to our critic. He devalued actual dramatic achievements to protect his commercial narrative instead. The critical drinker's business model depends on manufacturing Odyssey outrage. He claims that he's fighting against progressive ideology. This exhausting, endless crusade against the betterment of humanity? But he's actually the one pushing a rigid anti-diversity agenda, trying to send the global civilization back to the Stone Age. Like, every single casting choice gets filtered into the exact same tired culture war complaints to keep the clicks rolling in. Why? Because it's a highly profitable business model masquerading as media criticism, despite the lack of media literacy. The algorithm rewards the anger, so the sponsored check's always clear, and his fan base got their biases fed. He packages cheap ideological grievance as an objective defense of cinema, which is not the way to do any criticism at all. Subscribe.
Help me go home. Your wife and sons. Bringing it all.